I am the body snatcher. You know we love tummy tucks on this show. Welcome back to Boxing.
Welcome back, loyal fight fans, to Boxing. Eat that shit up. I'm your humble host, Tummy Tom, aka Booger Ray Robinson, and this episode is for you. Okay, fight fans? Slow that down. It's because it's UK. It's British boxing. We're talking Kell, Brook, Amir Khan. So it's for the UK, okay? So congratulations. We have that in here. We're going to touch heavy on that. But, and don't think we're not going to talk just a second about the Munguia Ballard fight. We appreciate all the new subscriptions. We appreciate all the great views that we've been getting, and that's what I'm here for. We're going to give you this boxing content that you really desire. We're going to touch on all the boxing. First, we're going to recap last weekend, okay? Daniel Jacobs taking on John Ryder. I mean, I told you guys that I wasn't going to come in here and hang my head because of mostly all the UFC picks that were very close fights, but we said we'd give it a shot. But here we go. Check it out. I'm soaking my head. I'm soaking my head, and the reason why is because, you know, of all the picks that could have gone wrong, you know, the safest one in here to me was Derek Lewis taking on Tai Tuivasa, and he just absolutely, you know, shit the bed in his hometown again, and caught a nasty elbow from Tai Tuivasa. It is a great sport, man, because you don't know what's going to happen. I'm glad I didn't do this, but I'm a very honest person. I'm going to just try to tell you guys I was prepared to make a comparison with that fight in particular to like boxing, and that this would be like a boxing fight where you go, hey, look at it, it's Derek Lewis, but he's ranked number 3. Like, he's only lost to the best guys, you know, most times, and He's got the most knockouts in history. He's a top-ranked guy. And then we're going to put him up against the Tai Tuivasa guy. You ever heard of him? He's fun, you know. He goes in there and slugs it out and whatnot. But you knew who would win. And I'm glad I didn't do that, though, because this was ridiculous, man. I mean, all credit due to Tai Tuivasa. That was an absolute upset. I still am a believer. Like, he won. I don't just think, oh, I'm just wrong. I still think the odds should have favored Derek Lewis more in that fight. And he pulled, so the odds didn't favor him that much. It was a close for the odds, so that the odds makers were right. I still think they're wrong, even though Tai Tuivasa won. I think that's a better underdog performance than he's getting credit for because of those odds that they gave. You know, then we had Cannonier beating Brunson. That was fantastic. That was great. You know, I wasn't willing to touch this fight gambling-wise because, you know, I love Jared Cannonier. And Jared Cannonier is very, very savage human being. Now, he's cut down, well, I mean, what is it, 40 pounds to get to sheer muscle at 185. The guy used to be a heavyweight. He's just been running through people. He's an enormous fighter, a tremendous athlete. But Derek Brunson kind of makes fights boring a little bit. Derek Brunson just go for relentless takedowns. And so I wasn't willing to make a pick here on Cannonier. He did pull it off. But, you know, Brunson has had however many wins straight, 3 or 4, or maybe he was even on a 5-fight win streak or something before this, at least 3 fights in a row. And some of those names was like Edmund Shabazian, who was undefeated at the time. Then he beat Darren Till. He beat a lot of these people. He kind of derailed a lot of hype trains leading up to this fight because he wrestled so much. He wasn't just like a Khabib, well, I get a takedown, I make the most of it, and I won't let you get up. He's more of a just a like aggressive style, like I shoot for a takedown, you stuff it. I shoot for another one, you stuff it. You throw some shots, I just back up, I might even get clipped, I shoot for another take. You stuff that, I get one. I get one, and I don't care if I do 17. That's literally, that is who Derek Brunson is. He did that in this fight. Jared Cannonier was able to stuff some takedowns, but Derek Brunson got quite a few takedowns, got a lot of control time. it wasn't enough, man. This was a great fight to watch, especially for a boxing fan, okay, dude? This was a great fight to watch. The guy just getting taken down. People go, Jesus Christ, you know, I'd like to see some here. And then how about Cannonier ending the fight on top position on the ground? You want to take me now? And just raining down elbows, vicious elbows from the killer gorilla Jared Cannonier. And that was just a fantastic fight. Now, Adesanya Whitaker happened. So the fight did go the distance, as I kind of presumed that it would. Robert Whitaker did better, obviously, just simply with the fight going the distance, and also that I at least give him a round, if not two, in the fight. So Robert Whitaker definitely did better. That is as I predicted as well. However, the fight wasn't as great as I predicted it would be. So what I was looking for, and what a lot of people talked about with wanting Robert Whitaker to do differently in this rematch with Adesanya, was a lot of things he did do. But it would have been done, I imagined it would have been done differently. I take nothing away from his performance. I think, you know, you get in there and then you're in there against the best. You're in there in a title fight. Who the fuck am I or anybody else to tell you could have done this different? But, you know, he did great. But the whole mindset of slowing the fight down and being more careful and going for takedowns, that's literally what he did here. So, yeah, I don't take anything from him. He is not as good a fighter as Israel Adesanya is. That's it. We're dealing with a generational talent in Israel Adesanya. You know, so because he had these great performances. The Paulo Costa performance, all this. One of them was the Robert Whitaker performance. Knocked him down at the end of the first round. Finished him quick in the second round. And Robert Whitaker was, in that first fight, just way too aggressive. There were no jabs. Everything was looping, hooks and overhands. And he just got pieced up. Adesanya saw those shots coming a mile away. He's so intelligent in there. He's able to, his speed, his timing is so precise, man. He's not just like, oh, I see it, I duck under, which you can just learn to do. Any person, you can learn to do that, at least most times. Adesanya's on a different level that you could train forever and never be like this guy. Just never be like him, because he's making people miss. And in that first fight with Whitaker, he's making him miss by like an inch, a half of an inch, you know, and just barely, or rolling with stuff and then countering off of it, you know. So he likes to counter with the left hook. Now, Robert Whitaker was very aware of that in this fight. I imagine his team prepped him to be better about being careful about throwing his right hand to not get countered by that left hook again. And he didn't throw it barely. I think he landed one overhand right, which is his favorite punch. I think he landed one in the whole fight. He didn't throw it a lot. And that was erring on the side of caution, which is something we asked for. Maybe a little less caution, okay? Maybe we meet in the middle here, though. Maybe we don't throw one, you know, we just don't throw 1,700. But it's tough, you know? It's tough when you're in there and against a guy this great. But nonetheless, people, and I'm not going to say myself included, I picked Rob only because of, like I said, that I didn't believe the odds makers were fair to him, and the money you would get back if he won, that seemed very doable at first. That's the reason I made that pick. But I told you I love Israel Adesanya, and I got to tell you, I was absolutely shocked, because this was Robert Whitaker was a guy you thought, and everybody said this, that, hey, you know, he is the guy. He's the guy that Adesanya is great. If he beats Adesanya, that don't mean Adesanya's not great. They're being very fair about this, you know. Adesanya is great, but if there's a guy to beat him, it's going to be Robert Whitaker, you know, getting his second chance after all these incredible fights back to back to come back from that title loss. And this was just a little bit of a clinic, you know. I've heard a lot of talk, so shout out Morning Combat. You know I'm wearing the hat, the dad hat. You know, I listen to him, and I respect, like, the opinions of Luke Thomas, Brian Campbell about, you know, that he made a lot of changes. He definitely did, and he was going for takedown stuff. But they even touched on this, that he, you know, Robert Whittaker didn't be careful but set the pace himself. He was okay. This was the most important part to me, which they didn't touch a lot, but this was the most important thing I saw. And they did just say it once, is that he was okay with not setting the pace in the fight and letting Adesanya do certain things and just him being more careful. You can't play that game. And guys, this is what people said he can't do, is let Israel Adesanya play or set the pace, and let Israel Adesanya sit at mid-range with you before the fight. You do have to make it dirty. Just don't throw all looping shots. That double jab lead-in that he was doing was beautiful. That is what got him into space where he could land other shots. That is what gave him some success and shots or the takedowns. That's what gave him any kind of success in the fight, was introducing that jab. Adesanya's used to dipping off the angle of it. He's very, very aware in there, man. So he's used to dipping off the angle of people's jab, or even straight back, which technically you wouldn't train somebody to do that. You can dip straight back from hooks, uppercuts, things like that. You don't dip straight back from a jab because the jab's coming straight. So you're just taking chances that it barely misses you. But utilizing the double jab in to get into range was brilliant. And with his head off to the right while doing it, you know, and then getting into range on Adesanya, that's the best thing he introduced to the fight. But you can't let Adesanya set the pace. I mean, it's not surprising now. Again, everybody and their mother said this before the fight, is that you can't let him set the pace, for one. And for two, you can't sit in a range in a kickboxing range with him. You have to be all in on top of him, making it dirty, or you have to be all out, waiting to double jab your way in, then make it dirty for a sec, get the fuck back out, or double jab your way in, get in there, and then go for a takedown. You can't sit at mid-range with him and just picking your legs apart and keep kicking you to the gut. You can't do that. And that is what happened here. I give Robert Whittaker for sure that 5th round, with all the takedowns. He had worked up to getting a strategy that got going for him. It took him too long. It took him too long. He got knocked down the first round. It's a clear round. It's not for him. People debate round 2. I don't see how you would give Whittaker round 2. I think that's his. Round 3 is Izzy. And then you could give Whittaker round 4 on top of 5. But I don't even know. I think people say the scorecard of a 4-1, you know, for the rounds in that fight is ridiculous for Adesanya. I don't think so. I think you only definitely give Whittaker the 5th round, and that's the only round that you can definitely do. If you give him 4, I'm not mad at you, but you can't get extra about this or who won the fight. Look at the fight, dude. Look at the fight, for God's sakes. I mean, you can't look at that fight and be like, oh, look, and there's videos done about, look at all the great improvement, or look at what he's doing, you know, for Robert Whittaker. Man, your videos are filled with stuff about Robert Whittaker getting, it's like, oh, this is one good thing I'm going to show he's doing. Then it's like, on second glance, I guess Izzy is fucking him up. You know, I mean, you can't make an argument for it. But we're going to move right along here. So now we're going to talk about the John Ryder and Daniel Jacobs fight. They fought in England, and, you know, it's like, this is why I kind of told you guys that I would pick Alexander Usyk, but I'm actually going to place the bet on Joshua because I think it'll be a close enough fight, and because it's in England, they rob Usyk. That didn't happen miraculously, so that I didn't get the pick right, but this is what happens in England. Now, upon second glance, the only English judge actually did correctly give this to Daniel Jacobs, so I have to just recant that. But it's strange, man. It's strange. I don't see how you could say that John Ryder won the fight when this is just a clean, easy way to put it. He lost the first 6 rounds. Daniel Jacobs got the first 6 rounds, so that's half the fight. He bagged that. There is no arguing it. Everybody agrees with that. It's a miraculous how people that say they agree that John Ryder could have won or for a draw also agree that Daniel Jacobs won the first 6 rounds, so you only need one more. John Ryder had a really good comeback starting in the 7th round, 8th round, 9th round, 10th round. So that made this fight a good fight. It made this fight interesting, okay? Because now you have a 6-4 score. But what the fuck happened to rounds 11 and 12? What happened there? Because I give both of those rounds to Daniel Jacobs. If you want, that would clearly win the fight. If you wanted to give John Ryder that 11th round, I mean, go back and watch it. You want to tweak that and say, well, we could find a way. Here's the deal. There's no way, there is no world where Daniel Jacobs doesn't win that 12th round. Where he was fading later in the fight, he digs deep, he wins that 12th round, dude. That alone wins him the fight because he won the first 6. That's a 7-5 scorecard right there. And that's without round 11, which I thought Daniel Jacobs won as well. So that really pissed me off. You know, no one likes this, but you really just like, boxing's getting to a great point. We have good fights. This fight, nobody was hyped for. Hey, it was a good fight. Completely ruined by that scorecard. Unbelievable. So 2 fights upcoming for this weekend and some picks on them. Amir Khan taking on Kell Brook. This is for you, okay, fight fans? And then we'll touch on the Munguia Ballard fight as well. But Amir Khan and Kell Brook. So Kell Brook, great fighter, former champion. These guys are both British, right? This is a long-awaited fight that people wanted to see in England for a long time that never got made. And that's because it's boxing, right? But we're getting it now when these guys are on the tail ends of their career and washed up, of course. But either way, we're going to make a pick on this fight, and I'm going to break down something simple to you. Amir Khan's going to have more speed still. He's older, so is Kell Brook. He's older too. Amir Khan's still got a lot of speed. He's shown us that even in shitty fights he's had recently. He's got a lot of speed. He's going to be the way faster guy. He will certainly land some combinations on Kell Brook. This is what the fight comes down to, right? Kell Brook, you know, got his orbital bone broken in England by Errol Spence Jr., right? When Errol Spence took the belt off of him. He got his orbital bones broken. He got his face fractured, his bones in his face. He kept fighting. He kept fighting on. He tried to keep fighting on. He got fucked up after that, and they'd have metal in his cheeks and stuff, fighting possibly a pound-for-pound boxer in Terence Crawford. He never gave up. He won a bunch of the first rounds against Terence Crawford, and then he got stopped. And it was a good stoppage in that fight, but he's on his feet. It's a good referee stoppage, but he's on his feet. He doesn't give up in fights. Amir Khan has shown that he gives up in fights. He got just sent to hell by Canelo, and ever since then, he's shown, like when he fought Terence Crawford, and you can just, it's so embarrassing. You just see on the replay, I mean, the broadcast is replaying it on repeat. He keeps saying, I got hit to the balls, and kneels down. Early in the fight, super early in the fight. And that means a lot to me. I don't care. I don't care if I sound like a caveman. I'd really like to think that I'm not. If you watched any of the shows, I really kind of go in deep on things. But this is blatant quitting. It just is. It just is. It's okay if you lose. You got to go out there and give it your best. This is blatant quitting. Dropping down to a knee saying I got hit in the balls. And the broadcast is just flashing this on replay that he clearly is hit in the stomach, and it's not even slightly low below the belt, not even like a little bit, which would still be nowhere near your balls, and it's not even that. He's hit straight in the stomach and quits and says, I got hit in the balls. Terence Crawford called him out in the post-fight, which he was glad to sit there through. You know, I mean, so they're both older. They're both slowing down. They're both veterans. Amir Khan will have more speed. He'll still have his speed. Yada, yada. Kell Brook hits harder. Kell Brook, I do believe overall, besides the speed, really just besides the speed, I believe Kell Brook's a better fighter, a better British fighter than Amir Khan is. And then you have him quitting like that. And then you also have on the other side, not, oh, well, he's never quit. He's also, Kell Brook, who's never quit like that, has also been through way worse abuse in the ring than Amir Khan and has not quit. So What I think you're going to get is definitely a Kell Brook, victory here. Again, I don't agree with the odds for this fight. Boxing odds get extravagant. They got this really tight. So I'm definitely putting some money on Kell Brook to win this fight for sure, especially given those odds. And yeah, I just think with the fucking metal in his face, with the abuse he's taken in that ring, but the heart he has and the skill he has will be way more than enough to conquer a broken man in Amir Khan. I really do. And I'm sorry, Amir Khan fans. I used to be an Amir Khan fan myself, and I'm giving credit. He is going to be way quicker than Kell Brook in there. Way quicker. And that's not what will matter at the end of this. Amir Khan quits in fights. That's just the truth. That is what... You can't do something like that and make any sort of argument for yourself to be shown up again. And so I don't care that Kell Brook's older. He will damage Amir Khan, and he won't have to damage him that much for Amir Khan to literally quit again, or just mentally. Or just mentally. He won't have to give him so much problems if Amir Khan just kind of can't get him out of there. Then Amir Khan will at least mentally break and give up in the fight. And you will be able to see that with your own two eyes. And before we go here, we'll just touch real quick the Munguia-Ballard fight. Jaime Munguia will forever live in the shadow of Canelo Alvarez as both, you know, being Mexican boxers. That's just how it is. But Jaime Munguia is the next big Mexican boxer who is younger. And when Canelo retires, Jaime Munguia will be that Mexican boxer that the fans go to as they have with Canelo. He is great. He is great. And he's been so fun to watch through his career, knocking guys out. And more recently, he's gotten a lot safer, more careful. He was very respectful of the skills of Gabriel Rosado in his last fight when he fought him. He was very respectful of those skills. He was way more patient. And that's not to say that he still didn't know when I can go, when I can really put it on. But then I'm going to back up. I'm not ever going to get too greedy in there. That's what I see from him. Even the couple fights before, and I've talked about this previously, he's getting more careful, which is a good thing for him. I always said, you don't want to get too careful. You don't want to go too far away from what you're good at, being an aggressive guy with a lot of power and a chin on him that goes in there for the knockout. He's learning how to win rounds and not sacrificing too much of that bully style mentality as well. So I think there's lots of good things to come. And let's just be real. Is Demetrius Ballard the guy to give him any kind of opposition? Absolutely not. This is your typical boxing fight. And probably you're going to see Jaime Munguia really hurt somebody in there come Saturday night that will affect that guy for the rest of his life, I would think. After rewatching some of Ballard's last fights, I really feel like the guy's going to get very hurt in there. This won't go the distance, and this will be a knockout for sure. So until next time, loyal fight fans, I hope you enjoyed the British episode here, okay, of boxing, Amir Khan and Kell Brook. It's still a good fight. It had been long awaited, but hey, you know, it's better late than never, and I'm glad to see it now. I'll definitely be watching it. We appreciate you. We appreciate all the views. Please hit the thumbs up button for me. Please hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button. And if you got a crazy ex-girlfriend, we gotta get her invested in the show. No?